You've heard it 1,000 times. Eyes up from your rider coach, your riding buddies, even track day instructors. But let's be honest, eyes up where? What are you actually supposed to be looking at? Nobody ever seems to explain that part. So today I'm gonna break it down, what to look at, when to look, and how to train your eyes so you'll ride smoother, safer, and way more confident in every corner. Now, if you ride on the street, your job is actually harder than the guy who only ever rides the racetrack. Why? Well, because Marc Marquez gets to do the same corner the same way lap after lap until he's basically married to it. You and I, we get one shot. It's like speed dating with corners. No second chances. Now, the 5 reference points I'm going to teach you today are the same ones that the best riders in the world use to win championships. But on the track, those reference points are dialed in. Line up on the corner worker stand or aim for that seam in the asphalt. It's like GPS with turn-by-turn directions. But out here on the street, that luxury disappears. Your commute could hand you a reroute, or a deer that thinks it owns the right of way, or gravel hiding in the shadows like a ninja. The track doesn't change. Well, the street's chaos, and that means our job is harder. So instead of thinking like a telephoto lens, tunnel vision, laser focused, we need to think wide angle, take in the whole picture, quickly identify threats, orient ourselves, and then make decisions. It's less sniper scope and more action camera fisheye. That means spotting the car about to back out of a driveway, keying in on the blind corner with no visible exit, or catching that sneaky little patch of grass clippings that's waiting to ruin your day. And here's the trick. We don't just stare at one thing. That's where my fast eyes mantra comes from. You've probably heard me harp on this in the overslowing corners video. Fast eyes means you look way out, then you glance back close, and then back out again. You need to think of it like your eyeballs are doing a set of squats, up and down, up and down. Scott Russell, Mr. Daytona, says his eyes were like a paint roller, up and down, up and down. Why? Because this engages your depth perception. And without depth perception, you're basically playing Mario Kart on a broken Nintendo. Now, someone commented last week saying, "Hey Dave, shouldn't you just keep your focus on the vanishing point and use your peripheral vision for everything else? Because if it's right in front of you, there's not much you can do about it." And yeah, they're not wrong. But here's the thing. If all you ever do is lock onto one point, not only does it hurt your depth perception, it makes it harder to key in on the 5 reference points we're about to talk about. It's like watching a movie by staring at one corner of the screen. I mean, think about how much you would miss. So here's the key. Once you've identified a reference point, keep your eyes on it until you're confident you're gonna nail it. And then boom, eyes up to the next one. Think of it like playing hopscotch with your eyeballs. Step, land, jump, repeat. Now here's the truth, doing this well takes effort, a lot of effort. This isn't something I just try to remember on rides, this is something I literally work on every single day. Not every ride, every day. Yeah, even when I'm walking the dog, I'm scanning between the stop sign, the mailbox, and a squirrel. Driving my car to work, or in the grocery store, driving my cart into the cereal aisle. The thing is, once my eyes move, my body follows, and then I'm already looking for the next thing. I'm constantly scanning back and forth. And honestly, this is what separates newer riders from experienced ones. New riders either don't know what to look at, or worse, they lock onto the wrong thing for too long. I mean, you've heard of target fixation. Stare at the pothole, hit the pothole. Stare at the deer, meet the deer. It's basically your brain saying, oh, you like that? Let's go get it. So what are these 5 reference points you should be looking for in every corner? And no, you're not always going to be able to spot all 5 because real world riding is messy. But here's the good news. The more of them you can find, the better picture you'll have. Because our number 1 priority for every corner is corner exit, right? We think about the reference points backwards. Our number 1 goal is our exit. So therefore, the most important reference point is our exit and our apex. Our apex is simply where you are closest to the inside of the bend. It's not a fixed point, it's where you put it. So those important 2 reference points that we're looking for is the place in the bend where our location lines up with the inside of the corner, the apex, and the outside of the corner. Now, you should be able to visualize a straight line from you to the apex to the exit. Now, on the street, the apex is often very late into the corner. It can be almost onto the straight bit past the bend. So this reference point, this is what I'm looking for. I want this view. My position, the apex and the outside of the corner, right? Like we draw that straight line from here to the exit. And the apex is roughly there. This is where we have permission to accelerate, and we don't accelerate until we have this view. This, the point where I can see my exit and I can take away lean angle, this is also where we verify that it's clear, right? If there's a car coming the other way, obviously I'm not going to apex. I'm keeping my distance. But if it's clear, then absolutely, we can have a nice tight apex. Now, I have a whole video that goes deep into this concept, the slowest point in the corner. And this is, in simplest terms, where I'm finished braking. When I'm finished with braking, that should be the slowest part of the corner. Now, the slowest part might be a small space if it's a tight 90-degree bend, or it could be a big space if it's a long sweeping corner. But in any case, I want to be looking for where I expect to be finished braking. This is where we expect or plan to begin our cornering. Now, typically I want to stay as wide as I can for as long as I can. This makes the corner wider and it gives me more time to slow. And depending on the terrain, it can give me more visibility deeper into the corner. But as we've already discussed, the street is variable and unforgiving, right? So I may not be able to stay wide, or I may want to be hugging the trees to make sure I don't run into any oncoming traffic. But in either case, where I begin turning is a very important reference point that I need to be looking for. And then last, but certainly not least, or technically I should say first, where do I go to the brakes? As I ride towards a corner, I'm actively scanning back and forth to paint as complete of a picture as I can with as much depth perception as I can, so I can decide on where I want to begin my braking. Now, you know how I'm constantly talking about we go to the brakes when we're nervous, right? Here's the cool part. When we are always looking for your 5 reference points, especially where to begin braking, you'll find you have so much more confidence about when and how much to brake. The trick is we think backwards, but we ride forward. The exit is always the priority because it doesn't matter how perfect everything else is if you don't get out of the corner. Think of it like a heist. You don't start with how do we grab the gold, you start with how are we getting away. The getaway plan sucks, you're going to jail, even if you stacked up a mountain of loot. Same with corners. The exit is your getaway. But once you're actually in the moment, you still have to hit the steps in order. The dance starts with braking, then turn in, then the slowest point where we're finished braking, the apex, and finally, that sweet, sweet getaway, your exit. So I know on the track we can mark reference points and we can move them a little bit and adjust from lap to lap, but we're talking about street riding today. So yeah, you can learn reference points on your favorite canyon road, but you need to expect these to change, maybe even on the same road from day to day, and it can change depending on temperature or surface conditions or sun, if the road's warm or cold. All of these things should be dynamic. But the point I want to get across here is that these are 5 things that I'm looking for in every corner that I ride. And I think about them backwards, I really do. The exit is the most important one to get right. So I'll adjust and tweak and move all of the others around to make sure I find that exit reference point. Now, if you're wondering where a lot of this information comes from, I'm a champion certified coach with Yamaha Champ School. It's the gold standard of rider training. They've got 2-day schools, 1-day schools, and a whole bunch of online resources that'll make you a safer, smoother, and faster rider, no matter what bike you ride. Here's the good part. If you want to check it out, use the coupon code FOCUS, F-O-C-U-S, for a discount. I don't get a kickback from it. It's just an awesome program that I think every rider should go through. If this helped, hit that like button so YouTube knows to show it to more riders. Drop a comment with which reference point you struggle with the most. I try to read all of them and I'll reply to as many as I can. And if you haven't yet, please consider subscribing. Now, if you like this video, this one will really help you zero in on the slowest part of the corner. It's something that's rarely talked about, but it dovetails into this video perfectly. So yeah, I hope to see you over there. Thanks so much for watching. Ride on and ride well.